listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo! My compliments, little lady.
Commercial!
Break for 30 seconds.
You are now listening to BaaD Radio.
Hello and welcome to BaaD Radio. BaaD stands for Business at a Distance. This is a show about local businesses and business networking. We are here in the News Radio WFLA studios from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And I am your host, Angela Smarito. And in studio with me, we have our producer, Melissa Fox.
Yeah, Bubba, it is not a train wreck, trust me.
Okay, I like that. And next up, we have Melissa Jacob with Striking Brand.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome. Melissa is our co-host as well as our videographer. And if you go to baadradio.com, that's BAAD radio.com, you can see all of the previous episodes of the show there. And then if you want to see Melissa's other work, you go to strikingbrand.com because she is a videographer as well as a photographer. And so I am so excited to introduce our guest. Please join me in welcoming the lovely Dr. Jessica Mitchell.
Hey, y'all.
Hello.
Great to be here. So excited.
We call her Dr. J in our world of networking, and she is the owner of Foundation Wellness, which is a mobile chiropractor office. So what were some of the other things that you said to me earlier? And I was like, I'm going to let you say that.
Yes. So I also do functional nutrition. So that's helping the body heal from the inside out naturally without using drugs and surgery, but using supplements, food, etc., allowing the body to heal itself, which is incredible.
Okay. We're definitely going to talk about all of that.
Love it.
Right there. But first, we're going to talk about the networking news. And so that is brought to you by Symphonic CBD, which is a branch of Live Your Best Life. And they are both advocates for Green Compass Global. Green Compass products are USDA, organic, lab-tested, non-GMO, made in the USA, and cruelty-free CBD products. And they are key to making calmness a habit. They also have CBD products for our fur babies. To get more information, go to symphonic-cbd.com. That's symphonic-cbd.com. Actually, what are your thoughts on CBD? You know Terry Mandigo.
Oh, yeah, love her. She is fantastic. I actually love CBD. I use it personally. There are over, I'm going to get nerdy here. Talk nerdy to me. There are over 100 different CBD receptors in the body. So when you get a full spectrum hemp CBD product, it just hits all of those things real naslack.
Yeah, well, Green Compass is, in my opinion, one of the best.
Can you go overboard on CBD?
Like OD on it?
Not
Make it
OD,
higher,
but
right?
like, you know.
I mean, you can get so chill that you can't get off the couch.
Okay. All right. I was just thinking for the pups because the furry friends thing. I was like, what if I give them too much and I don't know? And
Well,
They'll just sleep really well.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. No, for the
Not bad.
fireworks, I gave Roxy 2, and she just snuggled up next to me and crashed. But that's so much better because she was having a heart attack. I was so worried about her. So, but what I want to talk about with the networking news is actually Dr. J, because when I started Business at a Distance, Dr. J was one of our original founding members. And do you remember how you found Business at a Distance to begin with? I mean, you were obviously invited by somebody, maybe Karen Kelly?
Probably Karen Kelly,
Okay.
yes, who is fantastic. And when I found out about it, I was like, oh, this is perfect. We're in the middle of a global pandemic.
It was like in the first couple of weeks.
Oh, yes. And you just, I mean, it's all that word of mouth. We all know that word of mouth advertising is the best. And good people just found good people and it blew up.
But what happened was like, so I was fairly new to the networking. Like I was not in BNI. I was part of Next Level Networking, but I did create Business at a Distance when COVID happened. And that's what the show is based off of. But when I was talking to people, Dr. Jessica Mitchell's name came up over and over and over and over again. It was always Dr. J, Dr. J. And I'm like, I have got to meet this woman because and then I would see, invited by Jessica Mitchell, so because like I can see in like on the back end of everything in the Facebook group, I can see how long they've been there, how active they've been. And so like between you and Karen Kelly and Karen Bream, the three of you, like when the Facebook group first launched, you three were key in growing that. But what I was curious about, and as far as the networking news is, you obviously are very seasoned in the world of networking. Think about talking to somebody that's just getting started in business. What would be your recommendations and where to start in the networking world?
Great question. Well, obviously, BaaD would be the first place.
Actually, I wasn't fishing for that, but okay,
No,
I'll take it.
But I would say find a place where you can get plugged in and there's some sort of accountability and where you feel like those people are your vibe, right? So there's a lot of groups out there. So how do you find the best one for you?
That's a good question.
And to me, you've got to visit a couple. I love chambers. I actually started off in chambers.
Well, I was gonna ask you about that. So you have had success in chamber networking groups.
Networking groups, yes. Chambers, I never really got a lot of referrals from. There's no accountability there. And so I feel like finding your tribe and getting in something like BNI or in BaaD where we really are a community because you know the people in there really is key. I love chambers. It's great for meeting people, but for me, it didn't have the ROI that I was hoping for.
Right. Actually, she just made me realize that she's the one who started calling it BaaD.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I think you're the first person that said, and I want to say, was it the BaaDiversary? I can't remember.
Yes.
But I do believe that you're the first
Yes.
one that actually said the BaaD fam, and I was like, and then I was like, okay, I like it. You know, it had to grow on me a little bit because it's like BaaD. I'm like, okay, but you have to say it with that accent. You have to go BaaD as opposed to BaaD.
Yeah, it's a keeper. But I've had the same experience with chambers. I think it just depends on who it is in the chamber, I guess.
You've done well with the Oviedo challenge.
Yeah, the
chamber.
Oviedo Winter Springs Chamber I was part of for a while, and I had two like consistent referrals from them. So I think it has to do with whoever you're meeting. But I think the accountability, you're right, with BNI, it's a lot different.
A lot of people don't like that. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to do it. It's too much commitment.
But that's where
I agree.
make the changes.
No, I totally agree with the accountability because it weeds out the people that don't really have their heart really isn't there. Right. But back to the chambers. So when you started in chambers, but you still made some good connections there. So as a new person starting out, would you still recommend them just visiting at least?
Absolutely. Chambers, especially the larger ones, are a great place to start because you just get access to so many people. And then from there, again, you find your group and you find out, I would tell people, ask other people that you like and you see that they're very active and they're referring and they're intentional, I would ask them what they are involved in.
Right.
Because if you're involved and you like them, chances are you're going to like what they're doing.
I did know about the chambers too. And again, I'm not dogging chambers. I think that they're great. Like as a salesperson joining the Seminole Chamber, it helped me get so many appointments, and not so much from going to the meeting, but joining and then going through their not their Facebook page, but their website and seeing their members, and then reaching out to them, saying, "Hi, I'm Angela. I just joined the Seminole, and can I stop by and introduce myself?" And I got so many yeses, and I would stop by, but not with trying to sell them anything. So that introduce myself, and I did actually make some relationships and close some business that way. Have I ever gone to a chamber meeting and, walked out with like 15 business cards and closed business? Nah. So I guess it all depends on how you work it.
Well, and I think the key is everybody wants to sell your thing, but I think the key is to try to help somebody. And then by definition, they're going to want to give things back to you.
So you talked about chambers. Is there anything other? Because like I said, I'm kind of I focus on like social media groups and then BNI. What else is out there? I don't even know. So
that is a great question. I try to find different events that give back. So I was just at a Josh event, and that is to provide care packages to soldiers who are overseas.
Oh, that's very cool.
But find things that you're passionate about, and that really helps.
Is that through the Hero Strong program? Because I know that there was a Hero Strong that was doing the same thing.
Possibly.
Yeah. Well, because we have a show that's on WFLA too. It's called Boots to Business with Daniel Rabowski. And it's a show about transitioning from being in the military to being into business.
Oh, I love that.
And he has a lot of connections, Daniel does, for getting the care packages over. Because the people from the Hero Strong couldn't find the addresses to send it to. You know what I mean? They couldn't.
Oh, my goodness.
He needed to connect the wires.
Okay, got it.
So it worked out really good. So I'll have to get that Joshy information. Okay, so that was a really good networking event.
Yep, that was a fantastic event. I find there's other entrepreneur events. So if you go on meetup.com, if you go on facebookgroups.com, oh geez Louise. But if you go on different Facebook groups, you'll find those connections.
I want to write all that stuff down. All right, so the music means we're going to break. And when we get back, we're going to jump in more with Dr. J. So stay tuned.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Frogger's Grill and Bar. Are you ready for the ultimate sports experience? Look no further than Frogger's Grill and Bar. You've got your sports fix covered with Saturday and Sunday football, and catch all the action on tons of high-definition TVs while enjoying drink specials available all week long. Don't miss out on Frogger's amazing menu where everything is fresh, never frozen. Oviedo, Mount Dora, Apopka, and Altamont Springs. Frogger's, hopping with food and fun. I think I'm going to get you to start doing that last part with me, like how you do with Premiere.
Just tell me.
We have this little thing where it's
She'll
like
hear it.
We'll say it together, and our
I love
voices
that.
like sync. I think we're like on that same. We have like that same bass note for our voice. I started watching the show the other day, and I just looked at Tom, and I'm like, I am so annoying.
No, you're
I'm
not.
like, I know. I was just like, I'm so annoying. I just want to turn it off.
With
but then,
what? Just
in
general? You're
general.
just hearing your own voice type thing? Okay, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, you're not.
What do you? I mean, do you know what I'm talking about when you
Oh,
hear
yeah.
your own voice?
Oh,
You're like,
I'm always shocked. I'm like, why do I sound like a man? I'm like, I don't think I sound like a man. And then I hear myself like, hello.
where are you?
Really?
Where are you from?
Orlando.
Are you? So you're born and raised here?
Born and raised, true Floridian. I
Wow.
feel like they should follow me around with a camera and be like, let's watch the native Floridian. She's wearing sweatshirt and flip-flops. What's wrong with her?
In her natural habitat.
I'm a native Floridian, but I'm from the
Are
beach.
you?
I'm from Melbourne.
Ooh, nice area.
Yeah,
I'm
so
a
I came
Navy
here.
brat.
Huh, Navy,
Navy
rat.
brat.
Okay.
All right, that
We won't hold
works.
it against you.
Okay. I'm a transplant, so I'll leave.
What state were you born in?
California.
Okay, she had to think about
I know,
it for
but
a
I
second.
moved too much. I lived in Georgia the longest, so I almost said Georgia. I was like, nope,
No, wait,
I
nope,
wasn't
that's a
born
lie.
there. Yep, I don't want to lie on the radio.
That would be hard though to think about
Oh,
it,
gosh.
like moving around. I feel for you as far as like school goes and having to switch
Oh,
schools all the
It
time.
was fun, and when you're a kid, you're like more flexible. Like if I had to do it now, I'd probably be dying.
You're
but
like, nope, not gonna work.
yeah,
That's why traveling is nice.
temporary.
Right. I know I talked about a trip you took recently. But anyway, we're going to talk about business right now. So we're here with Dr. Jessica Mitchell, and we call her Dr. J. How did that come up, too? Who started calling you Dr. J? Or do you even remember?
It was kind of a compilation. So I grew up playing sports. Now the only place I run is the fridge. But, back then, and I played basketball. That was my favorite sport in high school. Go Eagles, Edgewater High School. And,
Love it.
and
Tom went to
so-
Colonial.
Oh, okay. Big rivals. Oh, yeah. So grew up playing basketball, and I always knew I was going to be a doctor ever since I was 2 years old. And then once
Really?
I became a doctor and I started seeing lots of kiddos and babies, Jessica or Mitchell was just a mouthful. So it just became Dr. J, like the original basketball player. I'm a little bit shorter, a little bit less tan, only slightly less famous, but only for now.
Only for now. Absolutely. I would love to see you play basketball. What were you?
So I was usually the shooting guard.
Uh-huh. I was point guard.
Oh,
That was
nice.
me.
I don't know what
Ah.
either of those positions mean.
The point
so that's
guard's the
where
one
I
that
am.
dribbles the ball down the court.
Got
And the
it.
shooting guard's on the side, and she passes it to me, and I shoot and make the baskets.
Awesome. So you guys are like a team effort.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Cute. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it was a good time, though. I played for Melbourne High School.
Oh,
But anyway,
nice.
so let's start all the way from the beginning. So you said you knew you wanted to be a doctor when you were two. That's pretty interesting, by the way. But so, and you're a chiropractor.
Yes,
now,
ma'am.
but I meant, do you, like to become a chiropractor, you have to have a doctorate?
Yes, ma'am. Great question.
Can you tell me about the whole education of that? Because that seems like being a doctor is some pretty heavy stuff there.
It's intense. So you have to go obviously all through, K through 12, and then get an undergrad degree, and then apply, get accepted to the doctorate program. And a chiropractic school is almost 4 years,
Okay.
nonstop. It's about 35 to 40 hours a week for 3.5 years straight.
Wow.
So it's really intense, but I absolutely ate it up. I'm a huge nerd, so it was incredible.
What made you decide to want to get into chiropractic, being a chiropractor, as versus like another branch of being a doctor?
Yep, it was God. That's the short answer.
I love it though.
Yep.
I mean, that's a true, honest answer.
It really was. I always thought that I would be a pediatrician in Africa. I wanted to be a medical missionary. And so that's what I thought I was going to do. Well, I got burnt out on pre-med bio. And so I was like, well, shucks, what do I do now? And I have a long and sordid past. So after undergrad, I became a neurodevelopmental therapist. So we did different brain-based therapies designed to heal and retrain retrain the neural pathways.
But where did you do that at?
In Maitland, there was a school that started, and I just jumped in feet first in the deep end and got some training on brain gym, biometrics, neurofeedback, etc.
Wow.
It was incredible. And then from there, I actually became a paralegal. It's an interesting story, which was amazing.
I'm following.
It's all very impressive, though.
Oh, thank you. I've been blessed to have a lot of really fascinating experiences. So became a paralegal, and I was actually studying for the LSAT. My father is now retired, but he was a personal injury attorney. And so I was like, well, I might as well take over Dad's business and make more money. I always knew I would go back to school. I just didn't know what. And so I did that for a couple years, but I wasn't passionate about it. I really like making money, but I wasn't passionate about it. And so long story short, while I was working for an attorney, I ended up meeting a client who was seeing these other chiropractors, and I met them and I knew immediately, oh my gosh, this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. And because I'd been pre-med bio for 2 years in undergrad, I had all my prereqs except for one. So 6 months later, I was in chiropractic school. And then 4 years later, I started practicing.
Where did you go to school at? In Florida too?
Palmer College of Chiropractic.
Okay.
And they have the original's in Iowa, but they have an extension campus in Port Orange.
Okay, so you got to stay in the state of Florida.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever traveled? I mean, I'm sure you traveled out of Florida, but I meant, have you ever lived out of the state?
For undergrad, I actually lived in Birmingham, Alabama.
Is that where you pick up y'alls?
Yes, ma'am. And then I actually took a year off between my sophomore and junior years of college, and I ended up being a missionary. That's another long story, but a missionary in Belize, Central America for a year, which was incredible.
A whole year?
A whole year.
Dang.
It was incredible.
Was that
brave.
anything that like deterred you from like your thinking that you were going to be in Africa and doing like that experience? Sounds like it would kind of encourage or like deter you from you.
That's a great question. At that point, I kind of had given up Africa, but it encouraged me that I do love to travel and serve and give. So my eventual goal is actually to have independent contractors run my mobile concierge chiropractic practice. I'm working with a couple of entrepreneurs who retired at 27. And so one of my goals with working with them is to create passive income streams so that I can fund, I feel like I am called to develop a nonprofit that provides holistic health care to women and kids who are survivors of domestic violence and human trafficking.
I totally need to introduce you to Stephanie Bauman. Do you know Stephanie Bauman?
I don't think so.
It's One Heart, One Hope, One Heart or One Hope.
I don't know.
She was on the show recently, and do you know Stephanie Bauman, Melissa Fox?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Very well.
It's One Hope, right, or One Heart?
I think it's One
Anyway,
Hope. Yeah.
She actually has a nonprofit, and that's what she totally focuses on: women, children, domestic abuse, drug abuse, things like that. And she herself was. I mean, she was on the streets with 2 young children, and she told us that it's more dangerous at that time. It's more dangerous in the shelter for a woman and the 2 kids than it was out. So her and another mom took their kids and just like roughed it on the streets because of like I guess there's no policing inside. I don't mean it was just her story is amazing. Wow. She's so inspiring. You guys
I need to meet her.
Need to meet for
Yes,
sure.
ma'am.
But yes, I think that may be like a good conduit to what you're talking about.
Yes.
So did you ever consider being a pediatrician?
I did actually. When I was in pre-med bio in undergrad, that's what I thought I was going to do. But like I said, got burnt out. And I realize now God's plan for me was never to be a medical doctor. I have lots of good friends that are, but my mission was to be a chiropractor because with that, I can see all sorts of different people where I feel like in medicine, you tend to specialize more. So it just enables me to help everybody, which is such a blessing.
Yeah, well, I definitely want to, like when we get, we're going to go to break in a minute, but I'm just going to set this up is when we get back, I would really like to get your input on the medical profession, Western medicine versus the holistic approach. And because like for me personally, I'm just not having a good time with the whole Western medicine and how things are set up. I had such a fight with the freaking pharmacy before today.
Bless you.
And I'm just like, but I want the listeners to know that there's an alternative to going to the doctor, being like rushed in 10 minutes and out again. And then that whole, there is alternatives. There is ways to make it affordable. So I'm expecting like 30-second music to turn on anytime now.
Yeah, we're not in healthcare. We're in sick care.
But yes, like I said, I myself feel very passionate about that. So when we get back, let's use the next segment to talk about how
Perfect.
people, there are some alternatives to just regular Western medicine. So stay tuned, and we're going to talk about that with Dr. J when we get back.
Want more information on networking? BaaD radio.com. We'll be right back. You stay right there.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
And this portion of BaaD Radio is brought to you by Ground Up Property Services. With the changing seasons, now is a good time to get your irrigation system serviced, so call Ground Up Property Services today. Also, with hurricane season, it's a very good idea to ask Rick Hall with Ground Up about a water sensor so your lawn doesn't get too much water. And don't forget about the lawn painting service. If you are planning an outdoor event and you want to hide those brown spots in your lawn, call 407-468-4295. You can also get more information at groundupinc.net. And you did hear me right. A lawn painting service.
I know.
I was wondering.
It always makes me think of Alice in Wonderland. I know I've said that before.
Make it green.
No, he's one of our sponsors. Is great guy, Rick Hall. He does irrigation systems, and yes, I've been trying to get him in BNI forever. But he actually has a system of painting spots on the lawn. So if you get like a nasty gram from your HOA, he can take care of it, and it's all natural. It doesn't hurt the the environment or anything like that. And I can't remember what he said, how long it lasts, but I know
It's a while though,
Yeah.
isn't it? Like, he said in the summer it's like 2 weeks or something like that, but then in the winter it's
Lasts
longer,
longer.
like 6 weeks or something like
Wow.
that.
yeah. So
love
if
that.
you have if you're doing a photo shoot or
Yeah.
you have like a big party coming up and you've got like a couple spots that are like, you can call him and he'll come clean it up for you.
Yeah.
So, but
But
he's
something a photographer would like.
I know.
Yes, exactly.
And he's like the nicest guy ever.
Aw.
He was it last week that we had Rick? I can't remember, but we had him in for a full 2 hours, and you would
fun.
think that it would be like hard to talk about irrigation systems for 2 hours, but it was not. He's just a great
I
person
know.
to talk to.
And that was the second show that we've had him on for the full 2
I
hours.
know.
And so like 4 hours, we
Wow.
talked about irrigation and had a good time.
Wow.
It's just amazing to me that this stuff is fascinating. I'm like,
Yeah.
so how far under does
Yeah.
the tubing go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's so nice too.
I
He's-
know.
yeah.
So before break, we started to talk a little bit about, like, I wanted to get your input on the difference between Western medicine and kind of taking a more holistic approach, because I know that you guys, like when I say you guys, I'm talking about you and Karen Kelly, and I even think Angelique and a couple
Yes.
other people are kind of like have this group. Derek Brantley is one of them.
Correct.
That kind of bound together and you guys talk to each other about the holistic stuff but let's just what would you say the biggest difference is between, like I said, just regular traditional medicine and what you guys are supporting and doing?
Absolutely. Great question. Thank you for asking. I would say the biggest difference is that people more alternative wellness, which honestly was the original medicine. If you go back 1,000 years, that's all they had.
Yeah, true.
Is really we're trying to get to the root cause and give the body the resources it needs to heal itself naturally from the inside out. So finding the root cause. Now, there's a time for drugs and surgery, right? Like if I get my arm chopped off, like don't adjust me and give me some herbs. Take me to the hospital and cauterize that stuff and sew it back on. So there's a time and a place. But I truly believe, and my colleagues and I do, that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So if we can get, and I know you've been on a huge health journey yourself.
Oh yeah, I mean,
And-
I can't even remember. It's been like 3 or 4 years, but yeah, I mean, I went through a whole thing where I stopped drinking. I lost weight. I had to get some stuff in order, and but now it's like menopause. It's like, okay, this is super fun. What's next?
But wait, there's more.
But yes, taking care of the inside, like the gut, has been extremely important to me.
Absolutely. And I really think the team approach, my kind of one of my mottos in life is teamwork makes the dream work.
I love that phrase.
And so I grew up playing basketball, right? And so I really think that's a huge part of it and this kind of goes back to networking, right? It's like, what's best for the other person, not what's best for me. So I will often refer out to a Karen Kelly, to an Angelique, to a Derek Brantley, to all of my teammates, because if I'm not the right person, or if I'm not the right person right now, then I will refer, or I'll co-manage. Sometimes it's a combo deal number 5 where we need multiple people.
Well, I mean, you guys each have your different specialties. Like Angelique is really focused on treating the face and, doing all of that naturally without the Botox. She's been on the show before
Yes,
too.
she's
She
great.
does. She has a very holistic and not causing trauma to the face and the skin. And then like I said, Derek's been in here, and I mean he's just a wealth of information. And then Karen's been on here as well too, and I'm just excited for her opening Mercy Wellness.
So proud.
But I mean, I can imagine you guys refer to each other often,
All the time.
right?
Teamwork makes the dream work, like I said. And what I want to do is I tell people this that I meet. Please call me. I give free 5-minute phone consultations.
Okay, that's
So
good to know.
call me if you have any health questions. It doesn't matter if it's the most off the wall thing. Likely I've heard of it. And if I haven't, I will research it. I will get back to you. And if I am not the right person, I will find you the right person. So I want to be people's go-to health guru.
That's so nice. When I keep saying Western medicine, I think maybe some people don't really know what I mean. How would you describe it the best? It's just the medical system. I mean, what is the right way to call it?
That is a great question. I would say it's a system focused on sick care versus health care.
Okay, I
so
like that.
it's fixing problems rather than preventing them. And there are great medical physicians. There are great facilities. So I'm not anti-Western medicine, but it's gotten to be very box-like, whereas like I said, I treat the person holistically, mind, body, and spirit. And I feel like if each of those is not in alignment, something's going to be off balance, right? You think of a 3-legged stool. If one of those legs is short, you're not going to be sitting pretty.
Right.
Whereas I feel like most Western medicine, they're just focused on their specialty. So let's say if it's a hormone issue. Well, if you don't fall inside their little box of what they know, then they're like, oh, it's all in your head, or they make you feel dumb, or
Oh
they
my God, I
refer you
know.
out. And it's awful. It really is a travesty.
Yeah. And I mean, I've talked to them about hormones, and it was just like,
Yep.
and it was like, I think they told me that it's, I got, what was
Aging
it?
isn't a disease. or
Aging isn't a
something like
disease that kind of like just gets,
And, like,
suck it
it's-
up and deal with it.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm so sorry, girl. And that's just a lie. So what I like to tell the difference to my patients is there's a difference between common and normal. And these days there's so many aging issues. I'm putting that in air quotes since we're on the radio, you can't see that. There's so many quote unquote aging issues that we think of as normal now because they're common. So the example I'd like to give is if you were in a colony of lepers, you would think that leprosy was normal. But you and I sitting out here know that leprosy is not normal. It's just common where that person is.
Right.
So I tell people you should be healthy and happy for a long time. My parents are both 68. They just got back from a 2-week hiking trip in Banff, Canada, and then they went to Bryce Canyon, and they were gone for 10 days hiking miles every day, and they're on no medications.
Nice.
So, and that should be the norm. I believe that's how we're intended to live, but too many people, think that it's common to feel bad.
What are some of those things that you're saying that are probably more just common as opposed to like a normal?
Yeah, great question. So I would say the common things are heart disease, arthritis, bad skin, feeling tired and fatigued all the
Joints,
time.
arthritis.
Yes, joint pain, inflammation, getting chunky monkey in your older age. All of those things that I like my phrases.
Is that what we're calling it?
I was following your real like arthritis and then just throwing in. I'm like, is it
Yeah,
ice
that-
cream? I was thinking about.
You're like, oh, that sounds
Ben and
good.
Jerry's?
Ben and
Ben and
Jerry's.
Jerry's.
Hey, maybe we
Yeah.
can get Ben and Jerry's to sponsor this.
What's happening? All right,
Do they have
got it.
organic?
That's funny. I like Chunky Monkey. It's good. It looks good on you.
Yeah, right?
All right. So where were we? So yes. So those are the commons,
Common
right?
things, but not brain fog. Not normal. Common, but not normal. You should be healthy, happy, alert, and active from the time you're born until the time you die. Now, a little slower.
And you can be,
Absolutely.
because I think that a lot of times is that that you get taught that you're just not supposed to be,
Right.
And so you're like, okay, then that's the way it works.
Yeah. And then you accept it and you don't search for more.
And those are all things that you help and you can treat.
Yes, ma'am.
Nice.
Well, the biggest frustration thing that I have in it, and I mean, I know we're going to go to break, but I'll start it is that for me, the way that my brain was trained is that this is what you do. You go, you get a job, you get insurance. Your insurance covers this, this, and this. And so when you have a problem, you go to the doctor. The doctor takes the insurance. They put you on the drugs that your insurance covers. And then that's the way that it is supposed to work. And I think that well, you know what? We're going to continue to talk about that. So that's the way that I think. And so when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about that's the way I think, and then what it really is like. So stay tuned, and if that made sense at all, then we'll work it out. So stay tuned for more BaaD Radio.
Angela Smarito right there, folks. Just wanted to identify you. Melissa Jacob in the house, and I can't remember our guest's name.
Dr. J.
Jessica.
Thanks, Dr. J. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore. Hey guys, it's time to head over to Premier Couple Superstore and surprise your sweetheart with that sexy bedroom outfit. Premier Couple Superstore has got a huge selection of lingerie, shoes, toys, games, love oils, and a ton of great gifts. With Premier Couple Superstore, you won't pay those high prices because you go directly to the source. 5009 South OBT, or shop online at premiercouples.net, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Oh, yeah.
We got that down, don't we? I love it.
Love it. We need to get
We've
in on
done it a few times.
Premier Couple Superstore loves it too, so there you
Oh,
go.
good. I've been in a couple times.
I know.
Actually, just once.
that. Ooh la la.
I know,
Yeah,
it's over on
it's kinda
OBT.
cool.
It is cool. It's like, because most of the time people buy that stuff online, but it's
Yeah.
actually kind of cool to go in there and see it, all the different
Check
fun
your
stuff.
ID.
And then you can like really determine that you're not the only person that's looking at that stuff.
And the people were really nice. They
Yeah.
didn't make you feel weird at all.
Not at all.
They're nice old ladies.
Aw.
This will look good on you, darling.
Oh, they were so sweet.
Oh, so before we went to break, we talked about like what my idea of what you're supposed to do when you need to go to the doctor. And so I really want to talk to Dr. Jessica Mitchell about there's the, job, insurance, doctor, prescriptions, coverage, all that other stuff. But I mean, that doesn't apply to you at all. So how does somebody come to you and what do they need to do?
Great question.
And then let's talk about the cost, because I'm just going to let's just address
I love it. Yeah, address the elephant in the room. I am all about that. So typically people find me through word of mouth. I am very blessed to have amazing patients and amazing people that I know that when people are having those random health issues, like, I don't know, call Dr. J. So it's social media. I have a lot of people that tag me on social media for different health concerns. And then just sharing my contact information. So the easiest way is for people just to call me or text me, and I'll set a free 5-minute phone consult with them.
Right. So, but I meant, okay, so if I'm feeling achy and I'm going to make an appointment, you think I should just be like, hey, Dr. J, I've got this going on. What would you recommend?
Oh, great question. Yes. So again, during that consult, I'll make sure that I'm the right person for them. And then we set up the initial visit. So I have 2 different appointment types. The first one is chiropractic only. And then the second one is functional nutrition. Now, I can't help myself. I do a little bit of nutrition with my chiropractic patients anyway, because again, I'm treating people mind, body, and spirit. But let's just go one by one. So the chiropractic visit, I spend about an hour with my new patients. And that, as you guys know, you've been to the doctor multiple times, that's a lot more than most physicians spend.
I think they have 10 minutes.
Max. I mean, that's if you got a lot of time. It's usually like a 2-minute.
Is it 2 minute in and out?
It is.
They got to make their quota.
Exactly. They get paid we all get paid per patient, but because insurance reimbursement is getting less and less, they have to see more and more. And they're great doctors. They just have to make a living. So I slow the whole process down so I can actually listen to my patients. So the initial visit for chiropractic includes a comprehensive review of health history. I mean, I'm going back to like childhood of what are those physical traumas that you experience. Then we talk about the thoughts, the emotional traumas that you've experienced, because if you're holding stress, anxiety, depression in your body, that's going to affect your spine and your nervous system. You're going to be really tight or your head's going to be down, and that all affects you.
That's interesting.
It's fascinating. And then we talk about the toxins. So those are the terrible T's: traumas, thoughts, and toxins. And then toxins, the food that we eat, the air that we breathe, the drinks that we drink, the drugs that we take, things we're exposed to on and in our environment, and things we put on and in our bodies. So once we get all 3 of those, those stool legs at balance, then I have a really good idea. From that comprehensive review of health history, I move into the analysis and review of spinal imaging. So x-rays or MRIs on anyone over 14. And then we move into orthopedic and neurologic exams, just further objective evidence, so I know exactly what's going on with my patient. Okay. And then after that, assuming there's no contraindications, then we move into the adjustment.
So you go through all of that before you start snapping and doing all of that jazz?
Yes, ma'am. And again, it's important for me that I know exactly what's going on before I start manipulating the body.
That makes sense. So, in order to do that, though, do you have to send them to like a different place to get the imaging done?
Yes, ma'am. So there's a couple of imaging centers around town that I partner with that allow me access to their online portal, and they will upload them within minutes of my
that's
patient
great.
getting their X-rays. So they can even get X-rays. Like, let's say they take a half a day off of work, they can go get their X-rays first thing in the morning, and I can be to them by mid-morning, and it's already there, and I'm good to go.
Oh, that's
Nice.
good to know,
Yeah.
right? Because that seemed like that would be the part that would be hard to
Right,
Because
because you have another appointment and you have to, all that.
all right,
Yeah.
that's super good to
And
know.
they're usually in and out in 30 minutes with the places that I partner with, which is
and
great.
you just write a prescription
Yes, ma'am.
for 'em, and then they take it. Okay,
Yep.
that's awesome. Now,
Absolutely.
is that portion sometimes covered by insurance?
Okay, so I am out of network with health insurance companies because I don't want them to tell me how to practice. I want to be able to treat my patients how you need to be treated personally and individually.
Love that. Freaking love it, because that's the biggest problem.
But I do have options, right? Like, because almost everyone has health insurance now. So I can charge an HSA or an FSA card. Most people have one of those. I would say about 80% of my population does.
Okay.
And so they already have money on it anyway. So it's anyway money. Let's just use it for your health. And if they don't have that, not a problem. I can also provide a super bill that they can submit to their insurance company for potential reimbursement of out-of-network benefits. And if neither of those is an option, no problem. You know the pricing up front, so you can budget for it.
Yeah, I think that's great. But I think what my question was is like for the scans.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
She's
just
like
it up.
all of that, and then she's like, oh yeah, fine. Yes.
Yeah, just that. Yeah, just send them out. Super easy, breezy, lemon squeezy.
Okay, so then you go to the adjustment part of it.
Yes, ma'am.
And what all does that entail? Because like I'm nervous with chiropractor because of all that snapping thing. I've seen like people's neck get adjusted before, and I'm like, oh no, what is that popping sound?
That is a great question. So that popping sound is simply gas being released from the joints. So I tell the kiddos that I see lots of babies and lots of kiddos, it's just a spinal fart. And they think it's hilarious.
Oh, like I'm a kid because I'm laughing like one.
Or they call it popcorn. They say, Dr. J, I got popcorn in my neck. And
Aw.
it's the cutest thing ever.
What is the youngest person you've ever adjusted?
Several hours old.
That's amazing.
Yes. So
What?
one of my girlfriends had a baby, and baby was having trouble latching, and I was up there within hours.
Did the baby latch after
Oh, yeah.
you?
Absolutely.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I know, it's like magic.
Uh-huh.
It
Do
is.
you work with like doulas and
Yes.
oh my gosh.
Love doulas and midwives, birthing centers, OBGYNs, nurse midwives. Love them.
Okay, so I have a list of people now that I can introduce you to because I
Amazing.
know a couple doulas and I love them.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That would be awesome.
absolutely.
Okay, so then that's the chiropractor part.
Yep,
So
chiropractic portion.
talk to me a little bit about the wellness part. So you said nutrition. Now
Yes.
you can write prescriptions. So if somebody's having gut issues and they do need something, like you're a doctor, you can do that.
I can write blood work scripts, and I also can recommend supplements. However, I am not allowed under my particular license and I can write obviously for imaging and things like that.
Right.
I am not allowed to write prescriptions for drugs. So that's where like a Karen Kelly would come in as a nurse practitioner. She's allowed to write a prescription for drugs.
That's really interesting. So do you focus on gut health as well?
I do. Absolutely. Everything is related to the gut. 80% of our immune system comes from our gut. So if I don't fix that, and a lot of people start, well, I'm on a probiotic. This is really cool, y'all. The digestion starts in the stomach. So if you don't have the proper amount of hydrochloric acid and digestive enzymes, you're always going to have gut issues. So I want you guys to do this right now. Lean back a little bit in your chair, and then I want you to come to the xiphoid process, which is where your ribs meet in the center. Come out about 1.5 inches on your rib cage. Push up towards the same shoulder. If it's tender on the left side, left means you need hydrochloric acid. I remember the L for hydrochloric. If it's tender on the right side, that means you need digestive enzymes. So that's a great little check for yourself. You go home and do it on your husbands, your significant others, your kids. Be like, lay down.
What happens
My
if it doesn't
dogs.
hurt on either? I mean, I'm
Well,
good.
then you're doing awesome that
All
way.
right.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Are you okay over there?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, okay, so digestive enzymes, got it. Mental
We'll
note.
make notes
We'll
of the
talk
whole show. Well, this has just been an amazing show. We are going to have you on for 2 hours next
Yes,
time.
ma'am.
So give everybody all of your contact information.
Absolutely. So best way to get a hold of me is text or call, which is my work cell 321-800-8191. Facebook is Dr. Jessica L. Mitchell, chiropractor. And then Instagram is Chiro Abundant, CHIRO Abundant.
Nice.
All right. And you can find me at melissa@strikingbrand.com.
And I am Angela, and we're going to be back with another full hour of BaaD Radio, so stay tuned.
You want more information about BaaD Radio? Huh? Do you? All right, stay tuned. Oh, or just go to the website, baadradio.com. That's BAAD radio.com. And like Angela said, we'll be right back after the top of the hour news on News Radio WFLA, Orlando.
You're listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo! My compliments, little lady.
Come on, shout.
Break for 30 seconds.
You are now listening to BaaD Radio.
Welcome back as we launch into the second hour of BaaD Radio. I'm going to run through all of the regular info for those of you who might have just joined us. I am Angela Smorito, your host, and in studio we have our producer, Melissa Fox. That's a good one. You'll have to save that one. Next to me, we have our beautiful co-host, Melissa Jacob.
Hello, hello, hello.
So she is our co-host, and she is also our videographer. And if you go to baadradio.com under the episodes page, you can see all the previous episodes of the show. She does a beautiful job. And then if you want to see her other work, you can go to strikingbrand.com because she is a photographer as well as a videographer. Yeah. All right, so for our second hour, we have a new guest. Please welcome public adjuster Andre Kratt.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, how are we doing?
Why is there
Thank you
laughing?
for having
There
me.
we go.
There, don't laugh at my guest.
I'm sorry. I here. Hold
Wrong
on.
button.
Let's see if we can do better. Let me see. Andre? No.
Oh, that sounded a little depressing.
It is. That's.
All right, I know you got a good one in there.
I do.
We got Froggers here. No. Ugh.
That's the other radio station. They ate all the froggers.
You know what? Well, I'm on this radio station, so guess what? We're going to start having food here, too.
Yeah.
So, but Andre actually owns his own adjusting, do you call them adjusting firms?
Adjusting firms, that's correct. Yeah.
And it is called Central Florida Property Claims. So, welcome
Thank
to
you.
the show. We have had one public adjuster on before, and
Oh, no
that's
kidding.
it. So, but we've had several claims attorneys on before. We've talked a lot about SB2A. I'm actually quite versed in all of it. And,
Yes, she is.
Melissa is too, despite her unwillingness. No, I'm just kidding. No, honestly, I am very, very up to date, and I feel very passionately about that because I feel like the state of Florida is just getting screwed
Yeah.
in regards to in regards to homeowners insurance. But that's not what I want to talk about first. First, I want to talk about your background because you and I met. I want to say it was been a couple years ago now.
Yeah, definitely at this point.
Yeah, and it was through BNI channels, but you had just opened your firm. So if you remind me, you used to work for a larger firm, and how did that all work out? You don't have to name any names. Just like I'm just trying to get the
Names.
history.
Names.
Yeah. Say how bad they sucked.
You're right, exactly. That's why I left. No, so I worked for a larger firm, started in 2019, and then I worked there for a little over a year and a half or so, and then moved over to my own firm. And at the end of the day, I just saw there were some areas of opportunity to improve the public adjusting business. And I, from my background in sales and background of working for these larger corporations, I knew that I had some skills that I could implement into the business and grow it from there.
So when you went to college, what did you go to school for?
Actually, it was a pre-med major.
Oh,
So,
damn, okay.
Yeah, so I was a pre-med major doing that, about 5 classes away from graduating pre-med. But then I had a daughter pretty young, so I decided, hey, I should probably make some money. And then,
Yeah, got it. That money is necessary.
Yep, absolutely. So kind of gauged that and went off to do
So
business.
when you started to work with the public adjusting office, was that sort of just like, hey, I'm going to do this right now to make some money? And then it kind of just like turned into this whole thing?
No, honestly, I was working for a developer at the time, and I had a great income at the time as well. But I saw the opportunity in this industry to grow a business. And kind of like, as you look at it like a realtor, right? Realtors are quite literally everywhere.
I call them a diamond. I say a dime a dozen.
Yeah, there you go. So like in our industry, there's really no public adjusters. People don't know what a public adjuster is. So I saw the opportunity for business to say, hey, well, if I can produce a great service, then there's going to be a lot of demand. And quite honestly, that's how it's turned out.
So question is why don't we know what public adjusters are? I mean, because I understand now what the whole, but trying to get my head around a claims attorney versus a public adjuster, what you can do, what you can't do. Why would somebody go to you before they would go to a claims attorney? There was so many questions, and it kind of like just was in this gray area. So what do you think the reason is?
I think that because how the industry has grown since, say, the early 2000s or maybe just before the 2000s, the industry, we didn't really need a market for our business. Most public adjusters don't need a market because they have relationships with other contractors, with property managers, whatever it may be, to facilitate their needs as contractors and grow their business, and we can help them do that. So I think because of that, a lot of public adjusters don't focus on the marketing side of things. And then I'll also say I don't think the insurance companies or maybe regulators care so much to help us grow our business.
I would say not.
Yeah, so
probably not. So is your client, is it a homeowner or is it a contractor or is it both? Because all I can think about right now is the homeowner is the one who's going to hire you. But is that not the case?
No, that's definitely the case. Our homeowners are definitely our clients. They're first and foremost who we look out for and who we need to take care of. But our contractors are just the folks we help kind of facilitate the jobs as well. Because at the end of the day, the homeowner wants to work with their contractor, and we need to help their contractor get the funds to do whatever they need to do.
I gotcha.
So that's why we're kind of.
And then you also are good networking partners with claims attorneys, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Love our claims attorneys.
Because they need to hire you sometimes to get the legwork part of stuff done for litigation.
Right. Yeah. So we kind of set up the claim from the beginning. So like you're saying, how we compare to the attorneys, we're kind of the first ones out there to say, hey, let's try to settle this with the insurance company so that, this claim doesn't drag out, costs are incurred by all parties involved. So we come into the picture from the beginning to start the claim, filing it to, once again, negotiating that settlement. And then if we can resolve the claim, great. But if not, we've made a file for our attorney to turn around and go ahead and take care of things from there.
Curious what kind of percentage of ones don't have to go over to claims attorneys?
So per insurance company, the percentage is going to be different.
Okay, that makes sense.
In general, it's going to be, let's say, maybe 15% or so have to go to an attorney, but 15% is probably two insurance companies.
So when somebody says, "Oh, I have State Farm," you're like, "Oh."
Yeah, I wasn't trying to name names,
Oh, I'll name State Farm all day long.
Okay, yeah. So that's a very high litigation.
I had State Farm when I had to get a new roof, and it was just a pain in the butt. Richie Kidwell, he owns Air Quality Assessors.
It sounds so familiar.
Yeah, he has a show too, Contractor Talk with Richie Kidwell. He helped me go through that whole mess.
Was he on your show recently?
Not recently.
Okay.
I don't know if Richie's ever been on this show.
I don't think so either.
We kind of run in the same circles though. But yes, you follow me on Facebook, then you'll see me promote his show a lot.
Okay.
And actually, he would be great. You'd be great to be on his show too, because he knows way more than I do about any of that stuff. And so back to your background. So after just 1.5 years, you're like, okay, I can do this better. And so you did?
Yeah, absolutely. I spent a lot of time and money flying around the country to speak with other adjusters. I've spent time in Texas, Arizona as well, speaking to other adjusters, just learning the industry. Not every state is the same, but a lot of the processes are the same. So I knew that if I can get in front of people that have 30 years experience, I basically have the access to them. And therefore, there's nothing I don't know at that point.
I like that attitude. It's just like, hey, these are the experts.
Right.
Is public adjusting more popular in different states like Texas?
Absolutely. I would say Texas and Florida are probably the most highly populated of public adjusters.
I'm sorry, can you say it one more time? What state?
Texas and Florida.
Okay.
Have the most public adjusters for sure, just relative to, the storms we have here. But then you run into states, for instance, like Tennessee. Tennessee has really bad insurance laws, so it doesn't make sense to be a public adjuster because sometimes you can't do anything, unfortunately.
What happens in Tennessee? Is it tornadoes? I don't
right,
even
yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Okay.
tornadoes, hail.
Hail.
Yeah.
Don't think about that too much. What's going on with that? I just think of hurricanes. But I'm also when I think of public adjusters, I have a single thought of just helping people with hurricane. But you guys do a lot more than that, right?
Just any damage.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything property related. So that's commercial and residential. I just picked up a couple of gas station claims. So it's not only just homeowners.
Okay. So you do both residential and commercial. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you still deal with commercial properties, whether it's apartment complexes or, gas stations that suffer large losses.
What about sinkholes?
So sinkholes is a very interesting one because there's a lot of policy endorsements that can have coverage for you, don't have coverage for you. So, but we do handle that as well.
Doesn't Florida supposed to have a bunch of sinkholes?
I think that we have the ability to have sinkholes. I don't know.
I've never
Oh
seen
yes,
any.
yes, we lose houses into
Right?
holes all the time around
Has
here.
something to do with
We're kind
the-
of a peninsula,
Yeah.
and there's like water not that far down. It's weird, but
I want to see one. I don't know.
Yeah, the Castle
Fascinated
Park
now.
over in Winter Park, actually, that's a sinkhole.
Oh.
All right, we're going to talk about sinkholes when
Sorry,
we get
guys.
back from break. So stay tuned. We'll be back with more BaaD Radio.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Forge IT Consulting, providing a fully outsourced IT department with a personal touch for small business. No company is too small. ForgeITConsulting.com. So we are here with Andre Kratt, and he's the owner of Central Florida Property Claims, and we are talking about sinkholes, and that's something I never thought of. And so like I said, I just think of hurricanes. But what are some of the other, is it natural disasters? But it's not just natural, it's just things that go wrong with the home or commercial property.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actual accidental damage to the property. So that can be water damage, fire damage, vandalism. You know, I had a claim recently to where the tenants turned the place into a grow house. And
Is that for weed?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So ruined the whole entire house, and that was a claim I'm handling. So
Oh, wow. Didn't think about
Interesting.
that. Well,
Yeah.
because a lot of the people that we've talked to are so dependent on their business is dependent on the storms that come. And if there's not a big storm season, then, they're struggling to make ends meet.
absolutely.
You're not in that situation.
Not necessarily, exactly. Obviously, when the storms hit, Hurricane Ian made us busy.
Are you still doing claims for Ian?
I am still filing them. The last time to file a new claim for Ian is coming up at the end of this week. So we're still getting a few in.
Oh, wait. So people can still file claims? For
Yeah. So in
Hurricane
Florida,
Ian
up to
damage?
1 year. Up to
Okay.
1 year from the date of loss, and then if it's a claim that's already filed,
Mhm.
we can reopen it for up to 18 months.
When
Wow.
was Ian? I know it was a year ago, but wasn't it it was like just this week?
Yes, like September 28th to the 30th,
Mm.
give or take.
I vaguely remember it. It was awful. Our house flooded. It was awful.
Did it? Oh
Uh-huh.
man.
Well, we have, and they've guys heard this story so many times. I'm sorry, but we have a sunken living room. We live in Winter Springs, and we already had a ton of water anyway. And then it got like 22 inches just overnight, and our power didn't go off. We thought everything was fine, and we kept smelling like this real earthy smell. And then I was walking by, and the light reflected off the water
Right.
that was in the sunken living room, and we realized that it was like all underwater.
Yeah.
So we had to get in there and fish everything out, and of course, no flood insurance. And trust me, I've already had somebody look at it. I mean, we actually have a line in our thing that says this does not apply to
Mhm. Don't even try it.
exactly.
Basically.
Right.
So, but yeah, it was a nightmare. So, that's interesting. Like I said, I didn't realize that there was so many different types of things that public adjusters do. So right now, what do you do to get your are you just mostly referral based?
Yeah, I would say right now we are easily 98% referral based. One thing we're focusing on, actually with the help of your daughter, is our social media presence and actually going more to an online approach. So we're working on that to see how it ends up. Once again, people don't know what a public adjuster is. So from my perspective, I don't think it's a highly Googled term. So I'm still going to try it, see how it goes.
Oh, yeah.
But I do believe from Hurricane Ian, the feedback we got from down south was talked about more. So when we speak to homeowners, they're saying, oh, yeah, I think I actually might need a public adjuster. To me, I'm like, oh, wait, what? You know what a public adjuster is? That's amazing, right?
Right.
So I think I think what's going to change as well is the fact that as the attorney's fee statute is now gone, what's going to happen is we're basically the last hope for a homeowner
Right.
to get funds. So I think our business will grow in that sense. Then we'll just have to kind of battle the difficulties of the insurance companies, and then from there, kind of see how things work
He
out.
needs some educational reels on.
Yeah, no, we'll build some reels from this because
Yeah.
Melissa can break it up, and then Anna can put it into your social media, because right now the social media that I'm seeing is so much of it is informational, but the important thing is what happens is the more of that stuff that goes out, when people Google things, you have a much the likelihood of it popping up, especially if they're all related and they have words like storm damage or keywords that people put in when they've got problems,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what's going to happen is that the more information that companies like yours start doing on an educational piece for public adjusters, that's the only way that people are going to find out about it. I mean,
Absolutely.
and like you said, let's just remind the audience real quick about what you said in regards to insurance or attorney's fees. So you want to go through that real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. As of December of last year, any new policy that goes into place after December 15th of 2022 will no longer have the attorney's fee statute, which basically, prior to that date said that, hey, if you have an insurance claim, your insurance company maybe underpaid you, denied your claim, whatever it may be, and public adjuster unfortunately can't get the job taken care of for whatever reason, then you can go ahead and hire an attorney. Once that attorney wins that case, those fees are now pushed onto the insurance company, and it's not a out-of-pocket expense for the homeowner, right? Now, as you can imagine, on a $20,000, $30,000 loss, maybe a middle to lower income family home, right? That's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Attorney's fees might be $15,000 on that, but it's kind of what they needed to do, unfortunately.
Right.
Now, that statute is gone. So what's going to happen is the homeowners now have to front the cost of the attorneys, and then hope that the insurance company doesn't drag this out for 3-4 years. And then, they're in a position of, okay, I'm risking 3-4 years of work and potentially not getting paid.
Right.
Right. Because the homeowner's not going to have the funds to pay them, quite frankly.
Well, I mean, once everything's said and done, whatever the settlement is, the attorneys have to take their pay out of that. So if it's a $30,000 settlement and they've done $15,000 work, then the homeowner only has $15,000 to do $30,000 worth of work. And we've talked about this before,
Right.
and talked about like that there's going to be a huge increase of people taking out loans to try to fix that stuff. That's what people should do, is just like start a funding business that just does that sort of thing for that specific thing.
Right.
I don't know how that works. So,
Right.
Just put that on the back burner there.
I think a couple hedge funds will do it.
Right. I mean, like you said, I think of HELOCs because people have
Yeah.
equity in their home, and how else are they going to come across money like that? Unless they can like qualify for an SBA loan, because SBA does do loans for damage. Because I know that's how we got a lot of our stuff fixed, is because we didn't have insurance or flood insurance, and we qualified for the SBA loan at a really, really low interest rate, and it's like 30 years. So the payment is just like nothing.
Nice.
I know.
Nice.
That's how the French drains got there. So
Thank
yay.
you. Thank
I
you,
know it
SBA.
can rain now, and I don't like sweat to
Work out,
death.
yeah.
So, I'm just keep going back to this because I'm very impressed that after a year and a half that you decided to launch your own company. So how did you start? Just you? Or did you did you pirate some people from the company and be like, okay, we're going to go on our own?
Yeah, no, 100% by myself. So I did that for about 6 months.
That's really brave. She did the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm too chicken to do something like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was jumped out pretty quick and went off on myself. Once again, I work with some good corporations, so I've seen what it takes to have a structured business. So I took a lot of those skills that I learned there and said, okay, I'm just going to copy them. And then from there, I eventually had enough business pretty early on to then be able to hire people, hire an admin, virtual admin, then in-person admin, then hire another person on top of that. So, once the ball is rolling, it's.
And so you said that was
going.
I'm sorry, you said that was 2020 or 2019? I can't remember now.
Yes, I was 2020 is when I went off on myself.
And how many employees do you guys have now?
Right now we have 3 total.
Nice.
And I was just actually telling her a moment ago, we're looking to hire 2 people right now as well, 2 new adjusters.
Okay, let's talk about that. So
Yeah.
you're hiring.
Absolutely.
All right. So what is the qualifications for a new adjuster?
So really the main thing I look for is just sales experience. That's going to be kind of the
Really?
Yeah, the main thing is just sales experience. And in business, this is one of the things I've learned. It's been pretty true. Is that as long as you can generate business, the rest is going to come, right? We have access to the people who have the information. At this point, it's me, right? I have the information to tell you how to adjust a claim. If you can generate your business, though, then you're going to be successful.
So it would be a commission-based position?
Yeah, absolutely. So our positions are essentially 100% commission-based with some draw in there as well. But it's a position that as long as you work hard and you're just in front of people, just like how you and I met, right?
Yeah.
That was years ago at this point. And now, we're still at this point.
Well, it makes me think of the roofers. Like, what do they call them? Not managers, but a lot of the roofers that you see in BNI are not actually the people that are climbing up on the roof, hammering
Right.
shingles. They're, what do they call them? Are they managers? I think they call
like
them
account managers or something
account
like that, I'd
managers.
imagine.
And really what they are is they're salespeople that sell roofs for whatever roofing, Karma Roofing or whatever it might be.
Right.
So it's kind of the same situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly like that. So if you have good customer service, you can sell somebody, and we're not really selling anybody anything. We're just saying, hey, we're going to help you get money. And if we help you get money, we'll get some money back.
Money is good. All right, we're going to talk more with Andre when we get back from break, so stay tuned.
Would you like more BaaD Radio? Go to BaaDradio.com and start networking now.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Liberty Property Inspections. Your home is one of your most important investments, so don't trust it to just anyone. LibertyPropertyInspections.net, helping you protect your investment. So we're talking with public adjuster Andre Kratt, and he owns Central Florida Property Claims. And before break, he actually mentioned that he was hiring, and so during the break, we started talking a little bit, and it's like, okay, save it for the show part. And so what I said to Andre is that I was impressed that he's hiring because the conversations I've had with people in the same industry are saying that because we've had such a non-active storm season that they're actually having to let people go. So I'm impressed that you're looking to grow when other people are saying, okay, we're nervous, we're going to let people go. So let's just finish. Let's pick up that conversation where we were.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. No pun intended, but at the end of the day, you have to weather the storm always, right? Because of the legislation, I believe there's going to be a decline in income potential for people in this industry. But at the end of the day, it's going to bounce back eventually.
I always say there's always a workaround. It's just figuring out what that is.
A decline because of the change of the law? Just decline because of...
Yeah, great question, actually. So I'm glad, because we were talking about that a moment ago. But so the change in the laws will make some claims just impossible to handle with some insurance companies. Therefore, the amount of claims that you're able to settle, for instance, right now, say if we're able to settle 100 a year, right? If 25% of those are gone because if they're working with insurance companies that are no longer settling claims, we can no longer file suit. They're just kind of dead, right? So the potential of claims is just down. So what I think will happen, though, is as we hire people, maybe the focus is no longer, okay, there's no storm, so it's no longer roof claims, right? If 90% of our business right now is roof claims, well, that means we need to reach other people. Let's say a property manager that hires or that manages 100 properties.
Right.
Well, they have water leaks all the time. So how do we get in front of those property managers to say, hey, not only are we an asset to you so we can take away your stress of handling this claim, but we're going to help your homeowner get what they need for their claim, right?
Right. No, I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. So if we can just shift the focus out of roof claims to maybe more water claims, more vandalism claims, whatever it may be, right? We're able to help people with anything, so we need to get in front of them.
Right. So you just have to think like outside of the box as far as all the different things besides. Like that's the point I was trying to make is like I think of hurricanes only, but there are other things that can be covered on that.
Right.
I did also, and I was curious, I did also hear that insurance companies are mostly just sticklers when it comes to storm damage and not so much fire damage, how is that true, or are they just kind of strict across the board?
Absolutely not true. So I would argue kind of the opposite to where water claims are sometimes my least favorite claims because insurance companies.
Did you say, I'm sorry, your least favorite?
Least favorite claims, yeah, because the water claims are the ones that, you get a leak behind your shower, right? You don't discover it for a month. So the insurance company says, oh, well, you didn't discover it in 14 days, so we're going to deny the claim. Not saying that's right, but that's an argument they'll use. So I would say that in general, they're just pretty difficult. Or an example would be a fire claim. I just had to do a fire claim for a good friend of mine. The insurance company came out, paid $190,000, and we settled the claim around $330,000.
Wow. So they just tried to like undercut it?
Right. I mean, you look at it and you say, how are you, 100% off on the estimating. So but at the end of the day, it's the process.
Yeah. So that's a big thing is like the estimating part, right?
Yeah.
Because how do you keep up to date with the cost of goods and property? And because That's what the claims attorneys use you a lot for as well, is putting that stuff together, right?
Yeah, that is correct. So everyone uses basically the same system called Xactimate, and that system pulls data from your local area and says, hey, here's the cost of these items and so forth. So we all build our estimates on the same system, with the exception to one or two insurance companies.
Right. I
And
think
then-
we've heard about that before,
We
haven't we?
have,
With
100%.
Storm
Yeah.
Consultants.
As soon as he said that, I was like, "Yep, heard that."
Yeah, that guy
Are you looking
Ken
for a job?
Sider, right? Yeah, Ken Sider, right?
Yes.
No, you cannot have you cannot have Melissa. Thank you very much.
I was like, "Whoa."
She's over.
Hey. Shh.
Yeah, we had a guy named Ken Sider, and he's an environmentalist from down south.
Okay.
And he's working with a group called Storm Consultants. And I'll introduce you to them too, because they do what they are putting together is just kind of coalition of people like yourself in the industry that when damage happens, somebody can call Storm Consultants, and they'll kind of figure out what it is that they need or who they need to talk to. And they work with the homeowners to find out the best case scenario for getting them back to whole.
Right, yeah.
And
And sometimes it takes a team like that.
yeah.
Quite honestly, yeah.
Well, also, I mean, I hate saying it, but there's just a lot of bad reputation, especially with roofers and contractors, where they come in and people just have a bad taste in their mouth because they come in, they give the estimate, they take the check, and then they run.
Right.
Does that still happen like it used to?
I don't think.
I think Florida made it harder for us.
Yeah, I personally don't
them.
think so. In this day and age, we're not dealing with. You can't find somebody on the internet anymore, right?
Right.
You can find anyone on the internet. You can do your research to do that. I don't think that happens as much as it used to. I would say, on that same point you're saying, there is some issues with maybe, okay, is this price that's being negotiated really that reasonable? And I would say I see that sometimes where, the estimates are through the roof. And it's like, hey, we probably don't need to do it for that much.
Yeah, but
That's
sometimes,
just the reality.
yeah, sometimes the insurance companies will say, okay, we'll pay for 1/4 of the roof or 1/3 of the roof. And I'm like, how do you match 1/3 of a roof to the other? I mean, you're going to have that's what they do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something you'll see in a policy. And we'll start seeing in more policies where we're saying, hey, we're not going to match this. We're not going to match that. And I believe that's going to be the next thing the insurance companies are going to attack in Florida.
What is that
the
new
matching
roof?
section.
What is that new roof? There's something going on with roofs. What
Say that
is
again.
it? There is something going on with roofs. It's like 10 years old. What is that?
So yeah, 15 years old, they have to insure you. If it's less than 15 years old, they can't drop your policy. But if it's over 15 years, they'll say, okay, well, if you get an inspection done by a certified person stating that it has at least 5 years left, then you can go ahead and keep your insurance. But with that same thing is they're now adding in specific roof deductibles. So the roof deductible could be 50% of the roof's cost, meaning they,
oh, wow.
they
So you have to
approve-
come out of pocket $10,000 for a $20,000 roof.
Right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
in my experience, most homeowners don't realize they have these deductibles in their policy. So they get to an insurance claim and I say, hey, oh yeah, just by the way, you purchased this policy with a 50% roof deductible. They're like, wait, what? And that's when they find
Yeah.
out about it. And, unfortunately, it's one of those things that,
Will you
Is
read
what
over
it is.
people's policy for them?
oh, absolutely.
How
Yeah.
much do you charge for that?
That's free.
Is
Just
it?
give us a call, send it to us. We've read so many policies at this point that we can go through them pretty quickly.
Because you
So-
know where the key points are of where they
Yeah.
try to do stuff.
Exactly.
So for that roofing, sorry, I'm going to go back
No,
just
no,
a little
yeah,
bit.
go
But
ahead.
for
Yeah.
that roofing thing, you said it has to be 15 years or younger, or else they ask you to do an inspection. And if they don't say that it has 5 more years, basically they can drop your insurance unless you get a new roof put on.
That is correct. Yeah.
And you have to pay the
Jesus.
full amount for that roof?
Right. Exactly. So yeah, you just have to get a
Wow.
cash bid or finance it, however it may be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think my roof is good.
Yeah.
You're worried. You're
yeah,
worried.
I know. I mean, that's a lot of money, and oh my goodness. Yeah.
Mhm. Well, I know a lot of the businesses are we're hoping for storms. I'm personally glad that we didn't have any just because
Yeah,
I
she's
need to
like,
breathe
I'm
from last year. I am traumatized.
Traumatized from my sunken living room becoming a pool.
Right. Absolutely. Did you see a lot of claims coming from the Winter Springs Oviedo area?
From Hurricane Ian.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. I would say a lot from flood, which
Oh, yeah.
which I've never experienced myself even.
Where
did
you're over in Metro West? No, where were
Baldwin
you?
Park.
Baldwin Park.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you have a higher concentration in one area versus?
In Orlando specifically, I would say the Maitland area, the Maitland towards Winter Springs area had a lot of flooding issues. All of our claims came from mainly down south, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
We spent about 6 months down there essentially.
How far south?
We were Sarasota, all the way down to Fort Myers.
That happened from Ian?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
I didn't realize that I guess I was so focused on what was happening here that I wasn't paying attention to it doing so much damage down south. So you service the whole state of Florida. Is there any particular area? You said mostly down south, or it's just...
Yeah, we'll do obviously the greater Central Florida area, but with an event like Hurricane Ian, to where we can go there and stay there for a while, we'll go down there to service those claims because they're, of course, larger claims. But other than that, we're typically 3 hours outside of Orlando. We'll help anybody out.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to find out how you got those contacts, though, to get that business.
Absolutely.
So when we get back, we're going to talk more with Andre. So stay tuned for more BaaD Radio.
Angela Smarito, Melissa Jacob, Andre Kratt, and I, Melissa Fox, will be right back. You're listening to BaaD Radio on News Radio WFLA, Orlando.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and I would love to give a huge thank you to our sponsor, Bolts Legal. Fear no storm with boltslegal.com. 33 tanning spa with locations in Altamont Springs and Longwood. Andrews Law PA, auto accident attorney. You can contact Jen Andrews at andrewslawpa.com. Crazy Muscle Nutrition at 1015 Unit 129 State Road 436 in Castleberry. That is their new location. And our newest sponsor, Imbalance Body Work. You can find them at 101 Lake Mary Boulevard. And their number is 407-801-8502. Or you can email them at info@nbalance.com. And that's ENBALANCE.com. All right, we're here with the last segment when we're talking with a public adjuster. His name is Andre Kratt, and he owns Central Florida Property Claims. And we've talked about a whole bunch of different things in regards to property claims in the places that he services. But I mean, as far as like getting the word out about your business, and you've done a lot of organic, like just referral stuff, and now you're doing the social media stuff. What are some of the, like, I just always ask people this, what services do you provide? If you were able to just to say, hey, this is what I do, this is what it's a good referral.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the main thing I try to tell folks outside of that I'm a public adjuster is we're here to help people manage their insurance claim process so that at the end of the day, they end up where they're supposed to be, right? So if anything happens to your property, it's probably a good idea to give us a call and say, hey, we can help you with this. It's worth you doing this, or it's not, because that's what we're here to do. We know what the insurance companies do. We know how they act. So we can let people know this is great, this is not so great.
Mm-hmm. But I think the thing about going through people's policies is something that's really worth shouting about, to be quite honest with you, because I mean, as people's policies, especially like, for example, for me, my policy is up in October, which means that I've got, Rob Pelton with Pontel Insurance shopping for me, but this will be my first policy since the law change. So I don't really know what to do or what to think of. But if you think about that, you offer that service to say, hey, if you don't understand your insurance policy, let me read it and I will tell you what's good or not. Do you work with like insurance brokers in situations like that?
Occasionally. We have a different viewpoint, right? So our viewpoint is how the insurance companies handle their claims, not what they cost. So I do love your point there, is that we should promote that service probably a little more because we're definitely willing to do it. And I always tell my clients, if I have a client that has State Farm, I tell them every time, go find a different insurance company after the claim is complete. And then after that, give me a call. I'll look at the policy for you and say, I think you might need to change this or add this in. Oh, hey, there's this limit here. Let me explain to you what that means if this happens. So that's something we're definitely always willing to do. And
I think that service is very valuable. And especially if you're not going to charge for it, and then people are going to like you. Because, I mean, do you mind, like, when I post the show, if I'm like, this is his email address. If you want him to look at your policy, or if you're coming up for a renewal and you want it, somebody that knows what they're talking about. Because we've talked about policies before, and they're thick and they have lots of words that normal people don't understand. And then it's like if it's a DocuSign, you flip through it to the last page and you hit the button and then you move on and you pay the bill when it comes. So.
And then next thing you know, you're paying half of your roof.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, I have a client going through it right now, trying to sell his home, and he's going to get 50% of the roof.
Oh, geez. I always feel so bad. And like you said, there's a lot of people that are in that situation where they just can't afford it. I mean, they don't have that kind of cash. So they end up Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Do you have any like common like misconceptions or like common questions people ask you repeatedly about being a public adjuster
About being a public adjuster?
or
What you do?
or-
Yeah, I would say the most common question I get is about deductibles. How does a deductible work? So I have homeowners that believe, okay, if I have a $2,000 deductible, that means that when I file a claim, I better be ready to pay $2,000. And that's not the case. It's paid at the very, very end. Once you're ready to get your work done, it's paid to your contractor doing the work, right? But as far as being a public adjuster, I think that people get a little bit scared about the percentage we have, but we charge a percentage for a reason. Because state requires us to, right? But our percentage is always going to be irrelevant at the end of the day because of what we recover you. So if we get you enough money for all of your repairs, and quite frankly, usually our fee is sometimes wrapped into that settlement as well, then that kind of is what it is, right?
Well, that seems like the smart way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, once again, we don't want to put people at a disadvantage by using our services. And we track how much money we recover for people. We track the increase in value we bring them, and it's well over 20%.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure.
It's well over 20%.
And just the peace of mind, too, of being able to know that you don't have to worry about it, because that's stressful. There was something that I think that you could answer for me, too, is flood insurance. Because is flood insurance not offered by regular insurance companies?
Yeah, so flood insurance is a federal program. So that's why flood insurance is so difficult to work with.
Is that just the state of Florida, or is that all the United States, or is it different per state?
Yeah, so it's federal program, so it's all going to go through the same federal program. But at the end of the day, they're always going to be difficult wherever they are.
Oh.
And this kind of goes back to the point of the attorney's fee statute going away. Well, we can't sue the federal government.
Oh, why not? Why ever not?
So therefore, when you deal with these claims, the flood company or the flood insurance adjusters will come out and they'll write their best they can, but it's usually a pretty light estimate. And they're not going to do much else after that.
When you say a light estimate, what do you mean? So they're going to say the damage is only a small amount of what it really is?
The cost of this is only $5,000, when in reality, if we were running this through a typical insurance company, that cost may be $30,000. And we'd be confidently getting that. But with the flood program, they just don't really care. I mean, not they don't care, but you know what I mean? You can't really adjust their claims too much.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So we don't live in a flood zone. And so that's why we didn't have flood insurance. Do you recommend people still look at it even if they're not in a flood zone?
Since last year, I would say I would look at it. I would wager the cost of, okay, how much is it? If it costs me $500 a month and I'm out in a flood zone, maybe put that aside and don't get flood insurance. But me personally, if I was not in a flood zone, I would not get it based on my experience of working with flood claims and knowing that they're not going to give me that much anyway.
Right.
It's not going to be worth it.
Is that really what it's almost like? Is like $500 a month? Because that's a lot of money.
I mean, for maybe a average home, it might be a little less, but it's not cheap.
I don't know. Is Oviedo in a flood zone?
No, I don't think so. Not where we are.
Yeah. Well, did you? We're not that far apart from each other. Did you guys get a lot of water from Ian?
We did get water, but nothing really flooded. But the neighborhood across the street from us, we had people who were like getting things out of their house and all that. The bottom level, like Live Oak area.
I contacted FEMA and they gave us $300.
Right.
And I was like, thanks.
So you said that you wouldn't get the flood insurance if you weren't in a flood zone, just because you know how much they would give you. What would your solution be? Just having like an emergency fund for stuff like that?
I would do an emergency fund, put into some type of money market account, let it grow a little bit, but it's easily accessible. Once again, it's maybe not for everybody, but I think that's a great option if that's something you're concerned about.
Yeah. So like I said, I did an SBA loan, but it was so difficult. And the only reason I got it is because it's impossible to like make me stop when I decide that I want to get something done. And they denied me, I'd say 4 or 5 times. And I was just like, yeah, no, that's not going to work because of this, and I just kept going and going and going until finally they're like, oh my gosh, okay, you're approved. Here's your money. Leave us alone. But I meant, are there any other service or any other programs like that? Now I know we're coming to a break. So just the end. So just real quick.
Really quick. There's the Florida My Safe Home, which is I might have said that incorrectly, but basically what it does is it will give you, if you spend $1 on protecting your property, prior to a hurricane, you can apply to this grant program and they'll give you $2 back for protecting your property.
That's
right?
really
So you spend
interesting.
$500, we'll give you $1,500.
I'm going to get some more
something you gotta apply
information
for
from
sure.
you on that so that I'll write it up, and
Yeah.
then when we post the show, we'll get all that information out there. But right now,
Sure.
give everybody your contact information.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, my name is Andre Kratt. My direct number. Feel free to shoot a call, send me a text. If you want me to look at your policy, whatever it may be. I'm happy to do it. My team's happy to do it. My number is 321-977-1388. You can also take a look at our website, cflclaims.com. And my email address is andre@cflclaims.com.
All right. And you can find me at melissa@strikingbrand.com.
And I am Angela, and you can reach me at 321-303-6424. Huge thank you to our sponsors, and thank you for tuning in. Have a great week, everyone.
We'll do it again next Sunday at 11 o'clock. Be there or be square.